Well, hello everyone. Welcome. That was a different intro than I'm used to, but welcome to Cedrick Unplugged. Today's conversation is for every leader, every athlete, every builder, every person who has ever had to keep going when life forced everything to slow down. Because when the noise stops, when the crowd fades, when the momentum shifts, who you really are gets revealed. Tonight's guest um, is someone who understands competition, discipline, and leadership from multiple angles. She's played at the college level and professionally. She's coached women's basketball at the collegiate level. She's built a successful corporate career and led high school girls flag football teams to multiple state championships. And now she's building the next generation of athletes through her program, When the Ball Stops. But tonight isn't just about sports, it's about mindset, it's about identity. That's when this conversation matters. When the ball stops is built around mental toughness, leadership, and discipline to focus on what's important now. And in a world full of distractions, pressure, and performance, that mindset is not just helpful, it's necessary. So today, we're not talking about sports. We're talking about resilience. We're talking about identity. We're talking about what it takes to win in the moments nobody applauds. Let's get into it. Welcome, TK LaFleur, to the show. I call her Tracessa
Oh,
LaFleur.
here we go. Already starting off. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited.
Well, awesome, awesome, awesome. We're excited to have you here and welcome to the show. So, before um, the program, before you started the program, I want people to, or before we talk about the program that you built, I want people to understand the player you were, right? So when you first realized basketball was more than a game for you, when did you realize it was more than a game for you?
Yeah, so probably middle school. We moved to Houston, and at the school that I was going to, sixth graders weren't allowed to play on the school team yet. You had to be in seventh grade. So, I was just in a regular PE class, and we were doing a basketball unit. And it just so happened that my PE teacher was the eighth grade girls basketball coach. So we're going through the unit, and obviously I was having like a lot of success. It was really good. It was really dominant, and she noticed that. So she called me after class and pretty much wrote me an all access pass to go and shoot around with the eighth grade team during our advisory period. And I could go every single day as much as I wanted to throughout the school year. And so, like, that was probably a big sign for me just because I was a sixth grader and I got to go and play with the eighth graders during advisory and shoot around, and we play one on one and do all that, do all those kinds of things. So that let me know that my skill set was at a high level to be able to compete 2 years older than me. And then, like, as my journey continued, we always, like, all my club teams, we always played age groups older than us. So it just continued to build that confidence that regardless, I was, talented enough, good enough to play at those high levels.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were gonna say, it was those times in the backyard when I was taking you to the
That, see, you can't even say it right because it's not even a true statement. See, that didn't happen, people. That did not happen.
So, what was the biggest lesson you learned playing at the college level that still impacts how you lead today?
um, it's very sad, but it was a lesson that I think I needed. So have you heard of the coffee? You've heard of the coffee bean story?
Yes.
Okay, so I was based, for those that don't know the coffee bean story, there's a pot of boiling water, you put an egg in it, a carrot, and a coffee bean. And what happens when you put an egg in boiling water? It gets hard. What happens when you put a carrot in boiling water? It gets soft. What happens when you put a coffee bean in boiling water? It changes the water. Well, I was literally freshman year of college. I was the egg and the carrot all in one. That was that was so like for me, that was the first time in my career where I didn't have a green light. I was kind of put in a box. I didn't have the freedom to just play my style of play. High school, I had the green light. Middle school, I had the green light. On my club teams, I had the green light. Even when we moved to Illinois, I had the green light on the teams I played for there. So when I go to college, I'm thinking, what's going to change? Like I've just had this all access pass. So I get to college and that's not the case. And I literally had no idea how to handle it. I just complained about everything. I blamed everybody and I was extremely defensive. Like I was truly just the egg and the carrot freshman year of college. And that was probably the hardest moment that I ever had. And it's where I really had to try to grow mentally because that's when I probably learned more than anything that there's more than just being the star player. There's more roles in the game of basketball, and there's more things that you can bring to the table. But because I never really had to play that role, it wasn't a skill set that I learned leading up to college. So now everybody is just as good as I am, just as tall as I am, or taller, just as talented, and I'm just one of a million instead of
The one.
basically a big fish in a little pond kind of thing. So like all of the stuff that came naturally and easy for me then went out the window freshman year. You had to reevaluate a lot of things.
Okay. So playing professionally is a dream that a lot of athletes have, right? But they never reach that dream, right? So what did that experience teach you about discipline and preparation?
Yeah, so it almost wasn't a reality for me either. Like unless you're a top 30 player, you don't really have a lot of control over what happens in your career after college. So I didn't do enough in college to be a top 30 player. So that's okay. What I did do though is I leaned on all of those experiences from college and I knew that I didn't have all the answers. And I knew that there were people who were doing what I wanted to do. So I actually ended up moving um, to Louisiana and I got on a semi pro team. And a lot of the players on that team were professional athletes. They were playing overseas. So what I got to see was how are they training that's different from how I've been training? And how are they seeing the game that's different from how I'm seeing the game? Because obviously what they're doing is working because they have these successful careers overseas. So I went and I put myself in an environment that made me very uncomfortable, that I didn't have the most experience and knowledge with. And I pretty much just shadowed them and followed them everywhere. And every time they were in the gym, I was in the gym. Every time they were, watching film or breaking things down, like I was doing those same things because I knew that if I wanted to get to their level, I had to do what they were doing. And that is really what the discipline and the preparation that elevated me to another level because I saw what it looked like on a much higher scale.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what would you say is that was the toughest moment in your athletic career that forced you to grow mentally?
Yeah, it was still freshman year of college. Um, I did get an opportunity to rewrite the story when I transferred because I knew that that was like there was no do-overs after that point. This was also before transferring was cool. So, you had to sit out a year and all these things. So, um I took that experience from my freshman year and poured everything into going into my junior year of how to be a leader, of I'm not, I may not be the best player on this team. I may not be the go-to player on this team, but I still bring value to this team. And that was something that I didn't have the perspective of going into my freshman year of college is I still bring value even if it doesn't look the same as how I brought value in high school. So I took that with me to grow me into a much stronger, better, more leader going into my junior year. So I think it was a mesh of all of that happening to help me, redefine a lot of things for myself.
Sure. Then let's tell the audience. So your freshman and sophomore years, where did you play?
University of Nebraska Lincoln.
And then your junior and senior year?
Texas Christian University, TCU, go Frogs.
All right. So you've won multiple. So now we're going to transition to the high school team that you coach. You've won multiple state championships coaching high school girls flag football, right? What is the leadership principle you build every team around?
Um, so it's a mixture of two. It's trust and connection. So flag football is really new to a lot of the players that I get. They may be athletic, but they've never played flag football, or they played when they were very young, but they haven't played since. So what I had to really do was teach them and show them that they could trust me, and then show them and pour into them and connect with them, because at the school that I coach at, Legacy School of Sports Sciences, I don't teach at that school. So I'm only on campus for half of the school year, which is during the spring semester of our season. So building that trust, building that connection with the players, getting players to want to come and play, so that way we could, field an actual team, became very, very important. And without the trust, without them knowing who I am and how I can help them grow and what they can bring to the table and pouring into them, without those two things, I don't get more players to come and play there. I don't get more players that want to join. And for the last, we're going into season 5, for the last previous 4 years, pretty much every season, I've had at least half the team that was brand new to flag football. So it became truly like a guiding thing that allowed our teams to be successful.
Okay. All right. So you said you're only there during that time of year,
Mhm.
during the spring during the semester, right? So does that provide additional challenges because you're not with those girls all year long?
Yeah, it does. So a lot of times I don't always know who is going to show up for flag until I get on campus. I don't have the luxury of being in the hallways every day, trying to, talk to people, I'll talk to other athletes about it throughout the day, throughout the fall semester. I don't have the luxury of during lunch, hey, let's go out to the field and get a quick workout in. Let's go in the weight room. I don't have that luxury because I'm not on campus. So I do have other people that I've connected with at the school that do help me um, with that part of it. And then when I am there on campus, I try to get to practice a little bit early so I can walk the halls, see what's going on, to connect with the teachers, make sure that they're doing everything they need to do to remain eligible, and making sure that there's nothing that I need to maybe talk to a player about to get them back focused so we can have a successful season.
Okay, all right. So one of our cousins asked a question. Her name is Rose. Says, "What inspired you, or who inspired you to start playing sports?"
Honestly, I don't I don't know if I was ever just inspired. I think the rule in the house was you can't do nothing. So my parents put us in everything, me and my brother. I've played tons of sports, so I think just them wanting me to be involved and just not be in the house is really where I started playing sports, and then I just kind of naturally gravitated towards basketball. I was really good at it, and it was something that was enjoyable. So I think that's really where it started, and then I grew to love it over time.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think that your mom probably signed you up for playing sports first, right? Back in, well, actually, no, I did in Dallas. We were living in Dallas area then. She started playing softball first, then basketball, and in fact, it was a boys hard baseball team.
Yeah, I remember that.
They kind of started it all, and they didn't want the only girl to be playing until she hit a home run, and then all of a sudden, now they wanted her to be the designated hitter. I'll never forget that boy. That boy was upset when you came there, and they had her batting dead last. There was 75 kids on the team, and she was batting dead last until she got up to bat and hit a home run, and then after that, it was a wrap. They're like, "Oh no, she in the wrong spot. Fellas, move over." So, all right. So let's then jump now here to the birth of mindset, right? So we
Mhm.
can talk about that part of your life all day long, but we got to move on to something else. And so, but before people can understand the message, they need to understand the mission, right?
Mhm.
So, what was the personal turning point that gave birth to when the ball stops?
Yeah, so I started back in COVID. It was my business was originally called Mindset 180 Academy. And it kind of came to me in a dream, and I was just like, okay, cool. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I wanted to have a nonprofit. My nonprofit was called When the Ball Stops, WHEN. And that nonprofit was gonna be geared towards helping athletes transition from their athlete life to what regular life would look like. So helping them with resumes, helping them identify where their strengths are, helping them identify what career paths maybe they want to go down, things that they want to try. I really wanted to do that because that was a big gap for me where I just had no idea what I was going to do when college was over. Um, and so then the more I started to like try to figure out who I was in Mindset 180 and who I was in my nonprofit, I was kind of just all over the map. And but I really fell in love with the sound of when the ball stops. It works off the court, it works on the court, it just works in all areas. So I decided to change the win from WHEN to WIN, and it rolls off the tongue better. And so I started to really figure out where my feet were going to be planted in that space because there's a lot of people doing these things. So like I figured out where my feet were going to be planted, and I really just like the sound of when the ball stops. So that's really where I did a rebrand and kind of shifted from Mindset 180 Academy to When the Ball Stops, and I did that. That was maybe like 3 years later. So in June 2023 is when I did that rebrand, and I felt more comfortable in it. It felt more like me. I found my footing. I found my voice, and I've just kind of ran with it.
Okay, all right. So, what did you see missing in athletes that made you say this work has to exist?
Ironically, I can't even say that I saw it missing in other athletes. I really just saw it missing in myself. That was one of the like I had talent and skills and spades. That was never up for debate. What was always up for debate is the mindset I brought to the table. I could have be the best player on the court, or I could just be a regular player running up and down the court, and you wouldn't even know I existed. But I realized that a lot of that hinged on my mindset, what space that I was in, and so I wanted to really figure out how I could help um, other athletes be the best version of themselves day in and day out in whatever sport that they choose to play and whatever it is that they're committing to. And you pretty much, your life goes as your mind goes, and it doesn't go as your mind goes. So like you really just you have to make that decision and commit to something. And so just teaching athletes how to do that really became the mission because I didn't have that in myself.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to go back before we keep going. I want to go back to a comment that Kendrick put in. He says, "Hey, you're talking about flag football. Said the high school team where he lives in Illinois had their inaugural girls flag football season."
I love that.
Um, yeah, he just said great self awareness.
Thank you.
Yeah. So where did the phrase "What's important now" become real for you personally?
Okay, so there's a show on Apple TV. It's called Ted Lasso. Love everything about this show. I've probably binged it season one through season three multiple times. Well, in season 3, um, the head coach is trying to figure out, the team is kind of like in a funk. They're kind of stuck. And the head coach is trying to figure out what he needs to do to help unlock the team, basically. And so instead of having, essentially plays, um, he changes the entire identity of the team and just allows them to kind of play in a more fluid motion. It's more like, if I had to equate it to basketball, it'd be like running motion offense. You're just reading and reacting off of what your teammates are doing to know where you need to move. And you have the ability to, adapt to what your teammates are doing. You have the ability to be selfless because you're allowing people the space they need. Observe, right? So the big idea, the big question behind this offense that they were trying to run was, what does this situation need right now? And I really like that because it was always putting you in a headspace of seeking a solution. And so because I like that so much, that's kind of where what's important now came from, because you're always asking yourself, in this very moment, what is the most important thing? And then you move, you adapt, you seek a solution instead of, complaining about it, or this isn't fair, or whining, or whatever it is you want to do. You're constantly asking yourself what's important now, so you can move forward and make the next right decision.
Yeah. So, when I think about this phrase, I think about you're in high school, we're playing at a tournament. I want to say it was in North Carolina somewhere. I don't remember where it was, but in a tournament, we in this game. She's supposed to be killing these kids. And I don't know where her mindset was, but it wasn't in that game. So I said, all right, we'll fix that tonight. We game is over. We go to dinner. Everybody's chilling, winding down. We get back to the hotel. Everybody's getting ready to go to bed, and I say, no, TK, stay down here with me. Let's go hit this parking lot.
It was in Kansas, by the
It was
way.
in
Overland
Kansas.
Park, Kansas is where it was. Nowhere. It was not
Okay,
in
it was
Illinois or North
okay,
Carolina, wherever you said.
okay, it was in
It's
Kansas.
at
All right,
Nationals.
so it must have been an AAU Nationals then, and
Mm-hmm.
okay, all right, so everybody's getting ready to go to bed. Me and TK in the parking lot, and in the parking lot is about running. And there's only one of us, one of the two was gonna be running. And it wasn't gonna be me. So
Yeah.
she had to run.
Thank you.
She
You
had
can
to
move
run.
on now.
She had to run. And she had to run some more. And get up, go to the game the next day, 30 drops.
So in his mind now, he thinks that everything, just if we just run her enough, then she'll play well, and that's not how that works.
Hey, she dropped 30 the next day. I know that. So it's a great question coming up. Was there a moment in your own life when the ball stopped for you and you had to decide who you were without movement, noise, or momentum?
Yes, that would be when college basketball was over. So I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but unless you're like a top 30 player, you're probably not getting drafted. So your reality is you go overseas or you're done. And it was very evident that I didn't do enough in my college career to be a top 30 player, and that's okay. But in the moment, it was not okay. It was very hard. Mentally, I didn't really know who I was. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what else I was passionate about. So yeah, that's kind of where my life took it, kind of spiraled, to be honest. Like, I went and I did a GA position, but I really didn't want to be doing it. So it was very hard to be excited about it. And I got into some deep spaces, kind of, I dipped into some depression. It was very hard. Um, so yeah, it's one of those spaces that you never want anyone to go through, and you never want to see a family member go through, which is a lot of why I do this work as well, because I've seen the deep dark places that not having something you love anymore in your life. And I really understood it to be where it wasn't that I missed. It wasn't that I just missed playing basketball. There's a lot of discipline in what you're doing. Your schedule is pretty much pre-made, so there's a lot of things that you don't realize go on by being an athlete that you now have to figure all of that out by yourself all of a sudden magically the next day. It's like 1 minute your life is going a certain way, and then the next day everything's up for grabs. What, like, that doesn't even make sense. So like I think a lot of that was also hard to process of how to structure my day. All that structure is the word I'm looking for. All the structure goes out the window when sports is done if you don't have anything else that you're doing with your life.
Yeah. So this is a great time to transition to mental toughness under pressure. So everybody loves talking about performance, but real leaders know pressure reveals what preparation tried to hide, right? So when people hear mental toughness, what do they usually get wrong?
I kind of think about three things. Um, that other player, like the greatest players of all, they don't struggle with it. People are always positive, and that everything goes perfectly for everyone else. That's not mental toughness. That's not even none of those are true statements. It's really just how you handle the adversities of life. Is, if I had to sum up mental toughness from my perspective in one sentence, how you handle the adversities of life. And so, yeah, that's what I think people get wrong, is that they don't think the greatest players struggle with it. They think that other people are always positive, and that everyone else just has everything perfectly for them.
Yeah. So how do athletes confuse confidence with emotional control?
Yeah. So, okay, there's layers to this answer, but at the highest of levels, they get confidence and emotional control get confused because they look the same externally. So they show up. Both of these show up as composure under pressure. They both show up as like being calm. You have a steady performance. Your controlled reactions after mistakes. You just seem to be making the right plays at the right time. Those both show up the exact same way: confidence and emotional control. Well, confidence, if we go back to the root of the word confidence, it's a Latin word that comes from confidere. Con means with, fidere means to trust. So the literal definition of confidence is with trust. That's it. Okay, so we as humans get to trust, we get to pick what we trust. We can choose to trust things that are reliable, like our preparation, our training, the process that it takes that you go through. Or we can choose to trust in unreliable things, our feelings, the results, the momentum, because those things rise and fall constantly.
Right.
Whereas emotional control is the ability to regulate your emotions and your responses and your impulses during those pressure moments. And so managing frustration after a mistake, not judging your performance during the game, controlling your emotional responses, playing the next play, those are all controlled responses. It doesn't mean that you don't have emotions. It doesn't mean that your emotions don't spike, but you're choosing how you respond and control yourself because you have control over that. And so hear what I'm saying so you don't hear what I'm not saying. Play with passion, pour everything into it. That is all okay, but manage your responses so that you don't drain your emotional tank over every single little thing that may or may not go your way. That's the difference between emotional control and focusing on what you can control, and confidence is, it's a like a pattern of, you're controlling what you can control emotionally, and because you've done the preparation and you've worked through the process and you've gone through the training, you have the ability to trust that in the moments where it's out of control. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it does. So what does a mentally tough athlete do differently when things are not going their way?
Yeah, so they it's a a process of, they have a lot of self-control. They value being able to control how they respond. They value controlling their breath work. They value controlling their focus. They value their routines. So they focus a lot on self-control, which then leads to them being consistent in those pressure moments because they train that way. They train it. And then they have the evidence to back up that, hey, even when the pressure is the highest of the highs, it's game 7 of the NBA finals, it's the Super Bowl, it's all of these things, it's the World Series. They've trained at such a high level and they've learned through their training how to control their responses and manage their emotions and slow their heart rate. And now they have the confidence to go out there and do what their body naturally knows how to do. So they don't have to worry about, is my body going to do the right things? They know their body's going to do the right things. It's really, am I going to be able to control my emotions in the heat of the moment? And so that's the difference between an elite performer, a mentally tough performer, and just everybody else.
All right. So then, how do you teach someone to stay present instead of spiraling after one bad play, one bad decision, or one bad day? Because remember, I remember when you were playing, and I would say, forget that free throw, forget that shot you missed, right? So, how do you help people stay present instead of spiraling?
Yeah. So um there's a lot of methods. My top three that I usually work with athletes on is goldfish, ground zero, and get to green. My this past season with my flag team, I really I taught get to green, and they loved it. So um, it's a concept where we do a lot of work off the field, but it's a concept where what I do is I have them write down or think about the best game they ever played. It doesn't matter how old they were, it doesn't matter what sport it is. Think about the best game they ever played. Write down how you were feeling, what were you focused on, what was your self talk like, what was your body language like, what was your mistake response like. Write all of that stuff down, and I give them time to write. Say, okay, now think of a word or phrase that puts you back in that mindset. And I don't need to know what it is. Some of them shared with me, but I don't need to know what that word or phrase is. And so every game I would remind them, hey, what is your get to green phrase? What is your get to green phrase? So they would be constantly thinking about it while we're warming up on the way to the game, throughout the game. And I had a green clipboard. So after every play, luckily in football, there's stoppages after every play. I would just hold up my green clipboard. And that was their reminder to get back to green, to let the last play go, to get back to that happy space where you were on the best game of your life. And if every play you can reset, or every pause in a game, if you can reset to that, it gives you the best chance to play the next play. It gives you the best chance to make the next best play. So I really lean on those three that I work with a lot of athletes on.
Okay. Okay. All right. I like what Kendrick says here. Like Doc Rivers once said, play with emotion. He was going back to your emotion versus control. Play with emotion, but don't get emotional.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that. So, hey, um, what habits build toughness long before the game ever arrives?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was just talking to my team about it. How we don't win the championship on the championship game day. We win it now. Um, so the big question that you're asking yourself when you're trying to build toughness is, are you making decisions according to your aspirations? Are you living according to your aspirations, right? So
Oh, I
these
like that. I like that right there. Are you making decisions according to your aspirations? Oh, I
mhm,
love. I'm gonna put that in the chat. I love that.
okay. And so that is the over underlying question that you're asking yourself when you're building toughness. So your personal standards, your team standards, whatever those are, now you have to go and make private choices. No one is going to see these choices. No one's going to know what's going on. No one's going to know what you decide. So this is where your accountability comes in. This is where your standards start to drive your decisions. Are you helping or hurting with this decision? Those private choices become your daily habits. And like toughness is just habitual discipline, and sometimes the mundane is very, very boring. That's why it's called that. Like it's hard to go every day and run or do some type of workout. Like sometimes those days are hard, but most of the time they're not. But it's a daily habit that and what gets repeated gets revealed on game day. And then trust. Are you building trust? Or are you breaking trust with yourself, with your teammates, with your coaches, with your teachers, your parents? So, private choices, daily habits, and trust. You do all of those things the right way. Now, there's a consequence for everything, and consequences, they're neutral. They're just logical results of the actions we do or don't do. So, a consequence is truly just feedback. It's feedback that you're doing the right things or you're not doing the right things. So if you are really trying to build toughness, make decisions according to your aspiration, which is those private choices, your daily habits, the trust, and you'll get the results that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Sid says she loved that comment you made. Um, so a little commercial moment here. I'm going to put this in the chat. I'm going to put it up on the screen as well. TK does have a book, and you can get that right on Amazon and show her some love and support. It's called "Break the Silence: Basketball's Hidden Secrets." So go get the secrets. So that's in the comments there. Click on that link and support her efforts with this book. She has another book coming out real soon. So stay tuned for that. We'll definitely announce that when that's available. So let's transition a little bit here. Talent may get attention, but leadership is what earns trust,
Yep.
right? And you can take that in a lot of different ways, from a freshman in high school all the way through a person in their professional career, right? As a freshman in high school, your talent gets noticed, or for you in middle school, that talent gets noticed. But what about the leadership mindset that you have? Because that's what's going to build trust with people, right?
Yep.
So, what's the difference between being the best player and being the most valuable leader on the team?
So, in a perfect world, you would love your best player to be the most valuable leader. A lot of people will just follow the best player around and do what they do and all of that. But there's a place for both. And a lot of times, I don't think the best player is always the most valuable leader in every scenario. So, the best player for me is like the person they're getting all the accolades, they're getting the spotlight, they're getting the highlights, they're getting the touches, they're getting all of that the external press. And the most valuable leader, they may fly under the radar, they may be the second best player, they may be the ninth best player, we don't know, but what they're doing is a lot of the cohesive work that keeps the team together. They're helping, bring a freshman along, getting them up to speed if the game is a little too fast for them. They're, being a good friend to their teammates, and they're listening and they're helping guide them and show them the ropes. They're doing, a lot of the intangible things. They're celebrating, they're making the toughness plays. They're just all about the team, and they're all about making sure that everybody is growing and rowing in the same direction. And that doesn't mean your best player can't do those things. But to me, that's what makes a difference. Like you can have the best player on the team, but she's just not really a good teammate, or he's not really a good teammate. So it does make a difference in being the best player versus the most valuable leader.
And that person who has that rotten attitude, doesn't have that leadership mindset, even though they're a great player, does that mess with chemistry, or it doesn't matter?
It does mess with chemistry, because then you have people who come in who are looking up to them, and it's like, okay, well, this is the example that they're setting. Now it becomes a culture problem, because if your best player is not willing to do the standard and do what's necessary, well, they don't have to do it. Why do I have to do it? That can become the mindset of the team. That can become the culture of the team, and then it just makes it harder on everybody to, you're kind of having to drag someone along to get them about team, when really it would just be so much easier if you were just were about the team.
Sure. Yeah, Absolutely. Sheldrick says talent gets you there, but character sustains you.
Absolutely.
Right. So, how do you help athletes understand their identity beyond points and stats and rankings and applause?
Yeah, so at a high level, it's all about the internal, external motivations, things like that. But I try to stay away from that because a lot of people know those things, and I may touch on them briefly, but I do genuinely believe that um, athletes should tap into other areas of interest. And it doesn't mean that you're not necessarily all about your sport, but it does a lot of things. It shows you different skill sets that you have within yourself that may translate back to your sport. It allows you to interact with different people who don't necessarily think like you or move like you, which can allow you to tap into how to connect better with your teammates. And then I'm big on I'm big on character, teaching athletes how to build their character and the version of them that they want to win as. So you can be a winner and you can be a terrible winner. And you can be a winner and you can still be like a great person. It's not win at all cost. And I think when you start winning at all costs, now you're degrading people, you're blowing out someone else's candle. Like you start thinking, well, if I play well, or maybe I'm the only one who thought this way. If I played well, I was a good person. If I didn't play well, I was a bad person. The lines start to get very blurry and it's not reality. So really having them dive into what type of person do you want to be. So your identity, courage, respect, honesty, the type of player that you want to be, the type of person that you want to be, that ends up blending into how you play. And that ends up being the kind of person you come out of sports as. That makes sense.
Yeah. So let's talk about, there's those athletes that they're going hard during the season, then they get injured,
Yeah.
right? So what does leadership look like when you're injured, overlooked, benched, uncertain?
Yeah. So I was one of those players. Odd story. My dad didn't think I was really injured. Went up for a layup and I got kneed really hard in my leg. And his famous line, "Nothing hurts but your pride." And I'm like, "No, I can't bend my leg. I'm genuinely injured." It's like dead quiet in the gym, and this is all I can hear. I'm like in tears. Like, yeah, it was a lot. So we go to the doctor, and come to find out, like my season was done at Thanksgiving. Couldn't bend my leg. My high school coach was there. Yeah, it was rough. Um, and like I think a part of that comes from like be tough, play through it, that kind of mindset. But then a part of it is like, oh wow, like I can't play through this. My season is done. Do I even bring value to the team? And so like it's a big mindset shift for an injured athlete. It's a big mindset shift from somebody who is used to being the main player and then they're not. You just have to find ways to bring value to the team. There's so many ways. So it's like,
Kendrick is empathizing with you.
thank you. We can laugh about it now. I can honestly say in the moment I was like, thanks, Dad. Like, thanks. um, so like on the bench, you see things from a different perspective. So those players that are able to get in and play, show them and point out to them what it is that you're seeing from the sideline. Be a great encourager. Be a great cheerleader. Your role has drastically changed, but that doesn't mean that your knowledge has changed. It doesn't mean that how you see the game has changed. So now it's about pouring into other players to keep them engaged. It keeps you engaged. It teaches you how to use your voice. I was a lead by example kind of person. So in two different instances in my career, I now had to only lead with my voice. And it stretched me a lot. It was very hard. So you get to tap into those aspects of leadership. You get to tap into how to help shape another athlete into the best version of them because now they have an opportunity to show coach what they can do and you have the ability to help guide them along the way. So it becomes about shaping others and pushing others along.
So do a little compare and contrast if you can. If you can, it's okay. So you got injured your sophomore year in high school. and then you're out for a season, and then you got injured um, in college. I know you got injured also in your junior year in high school, but what about in college? Compare those two times when you got injured in college. Was there a difference in terms of your mindset now because you were much older?
Um, I didn't have any type of injury at that level in college. So like I had my senior year, I was in a boot. I had all the ligaments in my ankle were torn in my left ankle. The difference was I didn't feel a lot of pain when I was playing. I got my ankles taped and I wore an ankle brace, so I didn't really feel a whole lot of pain while I was playing. And I don't know if that was adrenaline. I don't know what kind of drove that, but it wasn't an injury where I was forced to sit out. I pretty much got to make the decision. Whereas my sophomore year when I got hurt and when I tore my meniscus my junior year, I didn't really get a say in do I get to sit out or not. It was you're done. So I think that's probably the difference between the two types of injuries.
Okay. All right. Um, Last question in this frame here is, so how can coaches and parents accidentally damage an athlete's confidence while trying to motivate them? Don't
Hmm.
even go there but with me, but it's
Of
not deep.
course, not, no. This none of this is anything that I experienced at all. This is all things that I've heard from others. Okay. Um. So comparison is good and bad. When we use comparison to help us level up, then we're helping. When we use comparison and say, well, why can't you play like them? That's not helping your athlete at all. So be mindful of how you use comparison to help your athlete grow. The car ride home is two options. It's two options. Be quiet, say nothing, and let it be silent, or it's positive. That's the only options. Because I promise your athlete knows. He's laughing because I'm right. Your athlete knows what they did wrong, where they messed up. They know all of the stuff that you're ranting and raving about. They know when they
I
didn't
didn't
play
say
hard.
much during the car rides home.
Of course not. You never did. I'm just talking about the other parents that do it. The athlete knows. So it also it gives your athlete a chance to go through their emotions and go through their highs and lows and how they want to evaluate the game, because we also need to allow the athlete time to process it themselves without instantly hearing all of this feedback of what you should have did and this, that, and the other. Um, and we're not listening. Either we're not listening and or we're about to have an argument. It's the only thing that comes out of the car ride when 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 we don't allow that space. Emotions are too high on both ends.
Hey, we never missed a shot.
Exactly. And it's always so easy from the bleachers. Um and I think just the last thing is figure out how to turn off coach parent and just be mom or dad. When we're 15 and 14, we're gonna come in and out of, hey, I want to tell you this stuff and then get it off my chest and tell you this realization. And then we want to go back to do whatever it is that we were doing. We don't want a life lesson. We don't want your 30-year-old advice. We just want to be 15, say what we got to say, and move on. I promise you, if you allow that to happen, we're gonna come back for your 30-year-old advice at a later time. But it yeah, sometimes you just have to listen, let us get it out, and then let it be what it is.
See, Kendrick went through that too. He said, "Oh man, been there too with the car ride home. Had to learn that one the hard way as a parent.
Yeah.
Y'all
Emotions are too high. They're way
kids
too
are
high
tough
on both
on us
ends.
in the car ride home.
Say it again.
I say kids are tough on us on the car ride home.
Mm-hmm. We just probably want some food. Just take us to Chick-fil-A or something, please.
So So we're going to get to these last round of questions, but let's jump to rapid fire.
Okay.
Um, so this is, the time where we shift gears. No speeches, no big breakdowns, no timeout huddles. This is rapid fire, right? First thing comes to your mind, boom, hit it. So are you ready for the leadership 10?
Let's do it.
All right. Pressure or peace?
Peace.
Discipline or motivation?
Discipline.
Talent or toughness?
Toughness.
Confidence or consistency?
Consistency.
Coachable or naturally gifted?
Coachable.
Lead by voice or lead by example?
By example.
Preparation or instinct?
Preparation.
Bounce back or breakthrough?
Breakthrough.
Win the crowd or win yourself?
Win yourself.
When the ball stops, panic or purpose?
Purpose.
Oh, I like that. I like that. All right. So that's the fastest we did the leadership 10. Every other guest, I tell them it's rapid fire, but they want to explain.
Do I get a prize?
Yeah, you get a prize. You get to do it again. Um, all right. So, Dr. Sitzer said that was fast. Yeah, she knows. I mean, everybody else, they had to tell me something else. Okay, so practical wisdom people can apply is what I want to call this segment of the show. So for the athlete listening right now who feels stuck, or they may be listening, later on this week, but they feel stuck. What's the first mindset shift they need to make?
Yeah, it's the first shift is realizing that you're not stuck. You're probably overwhelmed. Um, you're trying to figure everything out in your head, and it's not possible. So when everything, because like at that point, everything feels important. At that point, everything is priority.
Mhm.
So your brain's frozen, you just don't really know what to do. My first thing is you're overwhelmed. Just pick one thing. It doesn't have to be the perfect thing, it doesn't have to be the best thing. Just pick one thing, go do it for 15 minutes. And I promise you that momentum, it'll unlock the clarity that you're looking for, and you'll know what to do next. That's what I do.
Okay, all right. So, what would you say to someone whose biggest battle is internal versus external?
Um, so something that I kind of just unlocked in my own personal journey came from a sermon that I was listening to or from church a couple weeks ago, and that we were talking about closed hands and closed hearts. Um, and so, like the condition of your heart determines the condition of your life. And so, when your heart is filled with fear, a lot of times we kind of steer towards wanting to control more things and be, you're in control of every little thing that's going on, and that's overwhelming in itself. And so many of our internal battles are us trying to fight for control over things that we were never really meant to control or in the first place. And so when we hold so tightly to outcomes or situations or people or our thoughts or whatever is going on, um, we end up losing the peace that we have with what's in front of us, and and then that makes us hold things tighter, that makes things way heavier, and now we're stuck. Now we're internally fighting ourselves when we don't really have to. And so the best thing that you can do is just release it and just let it go and let it be what it's going to be. We can't control the outcome, we can't control the results, we can only control the work that we put in. So stop focusing so much on controlling the end game and focus on the preparation, focus on the training.
Yeah. All right. So, how can a person win when life feels like, oh man, it's just paused on them. And you know, in the middle of a season for an athlete, right, they're struggling, or it could be toward the back end of the season right now, and they're not going into the tournament feeling their most confident or their best.
So when when life is paused, I like to take that as a moment as I have everything working in tandem with each other in my life. Everything is flowing, it's calm, it's cool. So that's my time to not necessarily rest on my laurels, but reflect on, like, okay, this is where I was, and now I've gotten that to a good spot. Where do I want to go next? How do I want to build and grow? That's what I use my pause season, like my pause season for. Like the phrase, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Like that phrase, like
Yeah.
that's kind of where I feel like it comes from is you've gotten everything where you want it to be. You're paused. Now I know where I need to grow. You're doing all of this in the dark. So then when that next opportunity comes, well, you've been preparing for it in your pause season. So now you're just like, okay, cool, let's go, let's do it. And it's not like oh, let me get this in order. Let me see if I'm ready. Let me, like, no, you've already been preparing for it. And now it's available to you.
Yeah. So, excuse me, I believe that sports prepares you for a lot of things in life, right? Um, and being on a team, whether it's sports or it's band or it's cheer or any of those things, prepares you for a lot of things that you're going to go through in life when you start working. So what daily practice would you recommend for someone trying to build discipline or resilience or self leadership?
This is gonna sound weird, but it works. It's just simply eat the frog. And so what I mean by that is do the hardest thing, the most challenging thing first. So if you're trying to get into a workout routine, work out first thing in the morning. If you want to eat healthy and you're starting with just one meal, let it be breakfast. Do the hardest thing first, because then everything you do after that for the rest of the day is going to be easy compared to the first thing you did that day. So just eat the frog, knock it out first thing in the morning, and everything, like, then you're building the discipline to do the hardest thing first. And then now that that becomes part of your habit, that doesn't become the first thing you do, because now it's a habit. Now it's something you do every day. You're disciplined in that. Now you have another thing that becomes your frog.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have two more questions, really,
Yeah.
and it's 7:28, and that means we'll get through all the questions. So when the ball stops, what's the one question every person should ask themselves?
Um, did I add value? Is the one question that I would say. It's really a shift from outcome based thinking to value based thinking. And because the outcome, like I said before, is always going to take care of itself. It may not be the outcome you want, but it always takes care of itself. But how do we get to the outcome that matters? Did I add value everywhere that I could go? Was I that coffee bean? Going back to something I said earlier, was I the coffee bean in every situation that I could be? In every situation that I was in. Um, yeah, that's probably the one question.
All right. I see Miss Deneen is tuning in tonight. She put up there, eat the frog. So years from now, so it's the final question. Years from now, when people remember your voice, your work, this movement that you're on, what do you hope when the ball stops taught them about themselves?
Um, so first, sports is what you do. It's not who you are. Um, and like playing a sport, it's not really even a destination. It's the vehicle that you were given to learn about life, to learn all of the life lessons that you're in. And first, if it's not just sports, whatever your vehicle is, and it gives you a place to build the discipline, the resilience, the leadership you'll need for life. Um, because I just really think that at the end of the day, who you are, your character, and what you're meant to do will always be bigger than any game that you play. I mean, in the span of life, sports maybe what 25% of your life if you play 20 years, 30 years. So
Yeah.
it's not a in the big scheme of life, it's not a big part of your life, but the lessons you learn from that carry you through forever.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Well, excuse me. Thank you, Tricessa Lorraine, for
That's disrespectful.
she likes to go by TK and not her full government name. Her government didn't give her that name. Her parents gave her that name.
Mhm.
So thank you for being on the show. I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good conversation, and audience, I'm assuming they think it's a great conversation as well. You know, Dr. Sitsi says, excellent insights and so much wisdom. Thank you for sharing your insights on the show. And we always appreciate Dr. Sitsi for tuning in. My good friend Cedrick, he's writing a book right now. Said, enjoy. Every journey is going to come to an end, but did I leave it better than it was when I arrived?
Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And Kendrick said, the whole government name, all of it, all 100 letters. Um,
Literally in five capitals.
that's right. You do have a lot of capitals in your name. So quit messing with our decision on your name.
Never.
So this was one of those conversations that reminds us that winning is not always loud, right? Sometimes winning looks like composure. Sometimes it looks like discipline. Sometimes it looks like choosing purpose over panic. And when and that may be the real lesson here, right? When the ball stops, when life pauses, when the pressure rises, that is not the end of the story. That is the moment character speaks. So thank you guys for tuning in to Cedrick Unplugged Leadership Insights. I always appreciate you tuning in. Share it with someone. You may know an athlete that needs some of the message that TK shared tonight. Fun fact, I don't really call her TK. Um,
Yeah.
uh, but you know, some athlete may need to hear her message tonight. So share this link on your social media, if you will, so that they can get it. Share it with someone that you know needs this message. And they don't have to be an athlete, because the lessons tonight were not just about sports. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're an author, if you are working in your corporate life, all of these lessons matter because your mindset matters. And if your mindset is right, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you can rise to the top. So, When the Ball Stops is her website. It's at whentheballstops.com. Go check that out. I'll put the link again to purchase her book on it's on Amazon. The title of it is Break the Silence. Um,
Well, I was hitting
lost my thing.
secrets.
Yeah, basketball's hidden secrets. Woo! Man, I'm breaking my thought, lose my train of thought here. But check it out. I put the link there on Amazon. Sometimes if you type in the title, it doesn't come up, but you put in her name, TK LaFleur, boom, it pops up on Amazon. So again, thank you guys very much for tuning in tonight. If you want to be a guest on Cedrick Unplugged, feel free to reach out to me, and we'll get you to be a guest on Cedrick Unplugged Leadership Insights. Thank you guys, and have a great evening, and have a great rest of your week. Keep that cold weather up north.
Yes, please. This is childish.
We don't need it in Texas. Bye bye.